Hello and welcome again to Talk TV. I'm your host, Doug Brendel, and tonight I have a guest. She is a very concerned citizen who takes the bull by the horns here in the city of Pahrump, the town of Pahrump, excuse me. We're not quite there yet.
Not yet.
But I'm going to welcome Barb Johnson here. She's with Quilts for Cancer, usually, but now she is advocating something a little different. This is not the first sock drive this year, is it?
No, this is our second sock drive, Doug. Our first one was last year, and it kind of went together really quick. And we're doing the same thing this year to help our students in need due to various situations, not just economic, but some students aren't living with their natural parents, and there's just a lot of need out there. We have about 400 students that need basically everything.
Yeah. Well, this is a good place to start, though.
It's a good place to start.
Clean, new socks. Yeah, that's a good start.
There's something about putting on a new pair of socks.
Yeah.
You just automatically feel good. And also with the socks, just about everyone in this town can afford to go to the dollar store or Walmart. Many of the other stores, the small little fashion stores we have here in town, a pair of socks is affordable. A couple pair. And we're looking for just the white crew neck. Of course, some come in decorated in colors, and the girls love those. But anything, because it's like you said, nice, warm socks.
Yeah. Now, you've pretty well identified a large number of kids who
Correct.
You can get these socks to.
Correct.
Okay. And where do they get them once this sock drive is over?
Okay, I am strictly a volunteer. The students have a person, her name is Linda Fitzgibbons. She works for the Nye County School District. She does a couple of different programs, and she's the Homeless Crisis Student Liaison. Mm-hmm. She will be picking up the socks November 15th over at Nye County Coalition over on Wilson Road. She then disperses them among the schools and the staff.
Okay.
Privacy rights keep us from seeing the students directly hand in hand, which I go along with.
Sure.
I mean, everyone has their privacy.
Exactly.
And I look at it like, gee, community, it takes a community. We've all got an extra 400 nieces and nephews that need some help. They need a pair of socks. I'm fortunate. I have several pairs of socks, but some of these students just don't have them, or they maybe had one new pair at the beginning of the school year. And it's going to be cold tomorrow morning when those kids are waiting for their buses and going to school. You can see the simple needs for socks.
Just while you're talking, I'm going to be putting up some of the drop-off points on the screen here. Right here, H&R Locksmith on West Street. The next one would be J-Mark Customs on South Highway 160. And who do we have next here? We have
Cup of Faith.
There's Curves, yes.
Curves
on Oxbow Avenue. Cup of Faith on Frontage Road.
Mm-hmm. And the Coalition.
And the Coalition over there on East Wilson Road in the old Mance Elementary building.
Correct.
Yeah. So how did this thing come about?
It came about last year, early in the season. Many of us do other things other than just knitting, and we wanted to do something, and for a couple of years we were doing hats, just simple winter knit caps. Nothing really out of the ordinary, just simple. And a lot of us are addicted to keeping our fingers moving as we're watching TV at night. So we delivered a couple hundred hats to Linda Fitzgibbons for use with the students and asked her, what else affordable could the students use? Because there's so many of us that can't afford to do some of the larger gifts. I know there's a coat drive going on. Some of the angel trees, the iPads and the tablets. There's a lot of seniors that just cannot afford that, and even some of our young working families. And Linda suggested socks, so it came from there. And we did do it last year. We ended up with over 1,300 pair. And we're shooting for 1,500 this year. Now, granted, we don't have 1,500 students, but some of the students, their mom and dad or grandmother or whoever they're living with don't have a washer and dryer, so you need more than one pair. You need a couple of pair.
Right.
And then we had some people with the winter hats. They brought in gloves, and some of the ladies made scarves. We haven't done an exact count on those. We have over 300 hats that we're going to be delivering to Linda, all handmade knit or crochet caps. And some of these even came from out of state. A lot of our RVers learned of the project, worked on it when they were at their, quote, summer homes, and now they're back and they're bringing these things back for Pahrump.
Oh, that's cool.
And I had some family members that like to knit, and all the nieces and nephews were covered, so they just set some out for us. So we have 300 socks and some gloves and scarves, or 300 hats. 300 hats. We're hoping for 1,500 pair of socks.
Wow. And I've heard that there's there's definitely a great need, and there's hardship here in Pahrump, like a lot of places. But I know Pahrump is really hit hard, and a lot of kids, just because there's so much hardship in the house, they're staying with friends. They
literally surf around.
Yeah.
A student maybe classified homeless, because there's different ways you can classify homeless. Some of the students do not have a permanent residence where they're living. They might be with you because you can handle them for a month because of your work and family situation. They go to another friend, and then they're another friend. So things get lost in the shuffle, lost in the move. And this is where, socks are like your foundation, shoes and socks.
Right.
Socks are also very giving in sizes, and the good old tube socks.
Right.
Socks are very, very flexible. A pair of shoes and a coat aren't quite as flexible. You have to have more sizing. You can have a coat that's a little big, but let's face it, they need to be within a certain range. Where socks are just so forgiving, people can do just about anything and it'll work.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here, Barb, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about this and a couple other things that are cooking right now. So, folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Barb Johnson in just about 2 minutes. Okay, we're back, and we're going to be talking again with Barb Johnson. She's with Quilts for Cancer, which is a great organization. Those are quilts, handmade, homemade quilts by ladies here in Pahrump and other areas for people with cancer. And I just think that's the greatest thing. Also, for veterans in the VA hospitals, just a wonderful group of people. And Barb, let's just talk briefly about that. We're going to get back to the sock drive, but tell us a little bit about Quilts for Cancer.
Quilts for Cancer is an independent 501c3 charity. First, we do for quilts for people in the area with cancer. Again, due to privacy laws, if a doctor's office calls me and said we have a female or a male patient, we take them the quilt according to their needs with on what we have on hand, because we're strictly donations. We have no sponsor. And unfortunately, like so many things, quilting supplies have gone up drastically. So we really need funds to buy in bulk. Because we're a charity and we've had letters from people that have received our quilts, both candlelighters in Las Vegas, because they treat the majority of children with cancer. And here we've got hospice and the Veterans Association for their cancer patients, as well as individuals. So we get a better deal than some of the quilt shops can even buy supplies for in bulk. So we need to save up those small donations. They do stay in our checking account until we have enough to make a large purchase. So we're always looking for cash. We're always looking for added people to help make quilt tops. And here again, Pahrump is so fortunate. And I don't think a lot of people know the amount of work our RVers do when they come in for the winter. A lot of these ladies get together, especially up at Preferred. They have a regular building there. It's like a sewing studio. And
that's the one behind Goldtown Casino, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And they have a group that meets once a week just for quilting and sewing needs for the community. So our community receives a lot from our wintertime residents, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Now, the VA...
That's complete ignorance. I didn't know that. I think that's great.
Yeah, that is one thing I didn't realize till I started working with them more as an individual. I had no idea how much they did.
Very nice.
And I keep saying, the community's got to know what you do, you know. Now, the VA Hospital Quilt Project was a completely separate branch, a one-time thing. We got funding elsewhere other than the town of Pahrump, even though the town of Pahrump, some of the groups did help us. The VA hospital is open for clinics. They don't have any inpatients, meaning no one stays in the hospital. There's no one in a bed. That will happen in January. But they have the quilts in their storage room. And it's the first VA hospital in the United States to have enough quilts for every bed in the hospital.
Wow.
And that was directly because of Pahrump and all the help we had with all the making of the quilts, you know, in all the different stages. So now that that's done, we're going back strictly to Quilts with Cancer, trying to get our stock built up again for people with cancer and exceptional needs in children. And the veterans being special this year because of the 50th anniversary for Vietnam, we did some extra quilts for them. Part of this is individuals, part of it strictly is Quilts for Cancer. Sometimes the lines cross a little bit, and our volunteers, like with the socks and making the hats, a lot of women do more than quilt. They quilt, they knit, they crochet, and we find a need. We do the best we can to help. I mean, I don't have a big checkbook to write checks for groups and organizations here in town, but I do the best I can in making something. And something as simple as a simple quilt, because we do not do advanced quilts. Our quilts are simple. It actually touches a human being. It's going to help give comfort to someone else.
Amen. Yeah, just something nice about a homemade quilt.
Right. It's a fabric hug. It's a hug from somebody.
If you're not feeling good and somebody throws one over you.
Yeah, you just automatically feel better. Automatically
kind of like
feel
that
better.
Snuggle blanket when you're a little baby.
Yep, that's what they are. And even as adults, you're not feeling good, you grab a blanket or a throw or a quilt, you know, on that recliner or sofa.
At your quiltsforcancer.org, people who want to find out pretty much anything, if they want to jump in there and help,
right,
or if they want to give a donation, or if they would like to let you know about someone who could use a quilt, you
right,
got it all there?
It's there. All our information is on the website.
Okay.
And locally, our answering machine is on all the time, 24 hours a day, so you can just give me a call, which is 775-751-5356. And there again, any doctor's office or medical treating facility, a lot of our visiting nurses take care of patients in home that maybe aren't in hospice, but are in a home situation similar to hospice stage.
Oh, okay. So the local physicians are aware of your program,
right,
and they'll
we send them a letter out once or twice a year to remind them, because sometimes it's a staffing change. The actual MDs are taking care of patients more than this. This would be an office manager or one of the nurses.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're going to take another quick break here, Barb. And when we come back, I'd like to just touch in the final segment on the sock drive once again and some other things that are going on here. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be back in just about 2 minutes with Barb Johnson.